What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today is Thursday, July 21st, 2011. And according to Sony Europe Group studio manager Mick Hocking, poor quality 3D movies are hurting the 3D games market. Sony has been a big proponent of 3D gaming, and after a year of supporting the technology and 3 firmware updates to the PlayStation 3, the console now boasts over 50 compatible games. According to research, 42% of consumers are interested in gaming in 3D, but one of Hocking's primary concerns is now around poor quality 3D having a negative effect on consumers. Citing poorly produced movies, although conveniently neglecting to name any examples, Hocking seemed concerned about the lasting impact substandard 3D could have on the market. He laid out some rules for games developers looking to make games in 3D, saying they need to embrace and exploit the benefits of 3D, and gave case studies from high-profile internal studios by way of example. Early 3D titles such as Wipeout HD employed a technique known as reprojection to render a 3D image, which was fast to implement and produced little extra processing, but produced some 3D artifacts which were apparent to a keen eye. Later games such as Killzone 3 were able to have 3D rendering techniques implemented at the start of their development, allowing developers to apply much more advanced dual rendering techniques. However, Killzone 3 developer Guerrilla still found its first-person shooter required some fundamental tweaks to work in 3D, specifically in the crosshair, which needed to be drawn at midpoint between the player and the target in order to preserve the 3D effect, and the gun, which needed to be blurred out to stop the player from focusing on it. Motorstorm Apocalypse also had its own problems. The series' trademark shaky cam had to be turned down to stop motion sickness in 3D, while all the frame tearing had to be eradicated, as it made the game unplayable in 3D. Though it sounds like a lot of work for developers to get 3D working in their games, Hocking claims that it only costs 2% or less of the overall development budget. He also claims that this investment will result in good quality 3D in games, the sort that he thinks will drive further adoption of the technology in the future. Hocking says that by 2015, almost 40% of all TVs will be 3D. The bottom line is there is a difference between good 3D and bad 3D, according to Hocking. Implementing good 3D into games represents a small fraction of the overall development budget, and over the next few years, 3D TV production is going to increase dramatically. So here's my take on 3D televisions and 3D gaming. I don't have one. I don't know what to think anymore. At first I was a very big opponent of it. I thought it was a gimmick. I thought it was going to be a big farce and it was going to fade away in a couple years. Then companies like LG come out with passive 3D televisions that don't require those really corny 3D glasses, and 3D gaming and movies seem to be gaining somewhat of a momentum. I have spent quite a bit of time with 3D televisions and I still can't picture myself gaming for hours on end in 3D. I feel like my head would explode. Hell, I played the 3DS for 30 minutes and I was in pain. So what's your take on it? Do you think that 3D is going to catch on as big as Hocking says? Are you interested in 3D? If your HD TV craps out or you just want to get a bigger or newer one, are you going to get a 3D HD television? Put on a full body Speedo and leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always, thank you for supporting Review Tech USA. Make sure the Speedo's pink, that's my favorite color.